Well, there's much, much to share. I think one of the most interesting things to share is to begin to speak about the universality of Dharma. Given the world's situations and circumstances, politically, socially, culturally, religiously, consciously, we think that it is very important that we better understand and we better are able to appreciate the connecting similarities between the various religions, the various philosophies, East and West, as well as how science plays a very important role in us better understanding the nature of things.
Culturally, I identify with my ethnic heritage, which is Africa and the Maasai tribe of East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, and some parts of Uganda. That is my cultural identity. However, there are other parts of me that make up the whole of this which we call me. It is the result of this. What you see is actually the result of my having traveled and lived in many parts of the world and been initiated by 16 different tribes.
Wow.
And this has taken place in Africa, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Aborigine Australia, China, as well as the Amazon and New Zealand. So it's back and forth across the globe. And each place that I've been in residence, I've sought out the indigenous, the tribal people, and been initiated by them. And so I carry that initiation in honor of these people and in honor of and recognition of their ancient traditions. So it's an amalgamation of discipline. It's an amalgamation of consciousness as one substance, manifested in countless ways, in various cultures and various philosophies. And so what you see as a result of my having embodied all of these cultures and wear the jewelry as a permanent expression of these people. And that's important to us because most or many of these cultures or people, indigenous cultures, indigenous people, are now threatened to extinction. Their way of life is threatened by modern society and modern misconcepts of reality to extinction. And so I'm honored to be able to have experienced and to present these consciousness and these culture identities to you. That's my purpose. That's my reason for being. I've been blessed to stay on the planet as long as I have, and I don't think I'm going anywhere soon. Because I believe that the blessing must continue. And there aren't enough of us that are about the blessing of learning and understanding and representing committedly, not just as something that's cool, something that's, fun, but as a way of life. You must live it. It's not something you do, it's something you are. And that's the difference between, you might call, a true teacher or a false prophet. Well, the most obvious ones are my ivory bracelets, ivory ornaments, and the piercings that allow me to wear my facial ornamentation are actually portals into the psyche of the ancestor. Now, the ancestor is not just human, but the ancestor is the nature of all the elements, the 5 elements: earth, fire, water, air, and the abode, which allows for the existence, the space which allows for the existence of the 4 elements, ether. So, or you might call it Akasha, which is the abode or the space that the 4 elements exist in. And as we understand the importance of being in harmony with, being in a conscious unity with the elements, then each piercing and each artifact or material that is made into artifact also carries, because of its energy, a certain connection to certain psyche. For example, the earlobes. When you pierce the ear like this and you stretch it, there's a nerve ending or meridian in the ear, okay, that passes through the ear into the spinal column, and then at the base of the spine causes the rising of cerebral fluid. This cerebral fluid then puts pressure on the base of the skull, which in turn stimulates the pituitary gland, which is in the soft spot on the top of the head, and then that triggers the pineal gland. Well, the pituitary gland has to do with the acquiring and the development of an intellect. The pineal gland has to do with the awakening of the consciousness from the awakening of the intellect, the development of the intellect. So that happens as a physical means, simply by piercing the ear. Okay. When you pierce the nose, the septum of the nose directly connects to the prostate gland for the man and connects to the uterus for the female, for the woman. And this also has to do with the consciousness that these organs are imbued with in the process of procreation, conception, and procreation. The lip plate, which I have an upper lip plug that is done in northern Africa in an area called Chad, and then the lower lip plate, which is done not only in Africa by women, but done in Africa, in Central Africa, by men, but also again done exclusively by men in the Amazon basin of South America. And what that is a connection to the psyche of the ancestor,
and brings about the stamina necessary to be a successful warrior. Therefore, protecting, safeguarding not only the soul, but the psyche and the consciousness of every living thing. The bottom teeth, this is traditionally done by Maasai, the Maasai tribe. And it represents the suckling of the child, so that nothing can interrupt the suckling of the child to the mother. And since the mother is that which sustains everything, the mother is symbolic of the universe that gives life to everything. Milk is symbolic of the life force emanating throughout the entire universe in order to sustain each cosmos. The facial moko, or tattooing from New Zealand, is that which is done by the Maori of New Zealand, and that is, as all tattoo is, the carrier message of the spirit of the ancestor. That's the reason it's done. So again, it's a great honor to have these things as one's experience and to understand their meaning without just becoming culturally addicted to what's popular or what's considered to be cool, but to actually have an understanding that gives a depth of meaning and reason to it based upon cultural identity.